Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of Live with David Lewis. I am your host, David Lewis. I hope you're all doing well, being safe. Let me just get my things up here. Today is Friday, March 18th. For all of you that came to NADA this past weekend, it was great seeing you all. We had a great time in Las Vegas. And I'd have to say overall it was a successful event, and I think everybody learned a lot. So what's today? Today's all about our continuation of phone ups. Last time we talked about the importance of the phone up and the difference in the type of leads we get on the phones. And today I'm going to talk to you more about the actual caller and the call and our goals here in part two. Today's not going to be a long show. Most of my material is going to be in a couple of weeks when we tie it all together. But let's talk about something here that's very, very important. And I think it's has to do with some misleading information that we've told ourselves. Not that nothing's been done intentionally, but a lot of us, when we try to make our appointment, the number one mistake we make is we try to make an appointment. It's not about the appointment. It's about creating an appointment that shows up. I talk to dealers all the time, and they say, my BDC department, set 30 appointments for the weekend and only 3 people showed up. Well, what happened was that you created an environment where the customer wasn't comfortable, so they did not show up. Remember, as I shared with you last time, a customer calls the dealership for a couple of reasons. The first reason is to get information. That's going to be price, availability, options, things like that. But the second reason why they're calling is to size up the person on the phone, to see if the person on the phone is somebody they want to talk to, someone they want to come in and visit with. If I call your dealership and you ask me pressure questions immediately, what's my name? What's my phone number? The line of, if we get disconnected, I want to be able to call you back. People get defensive. Keep something in mind. They are afraid of us, and they should be. We are professional salespeople. Our job is to sell and to extract money out of the customer, and they know that. So you've got to create an environment on the phone where the customer doesn't feel that pressure. The greater the dialogue, the more dialogue you have that does not relate to your goal, the better you're going to be. If you satisfy the customer's goal first, it lowers those defensive postures. Some other factors that are important. You must be prepared to take the phone call. And I'm going to fly through some of this information to get to the good stuff. You got to be organized when you take a phone call. So many times I'm in dealerships and it's sales line 1 or a phone rings and we just walk over to sales. David speaking. How can I help you? You have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan of attack when you take the phone call. If you don't, you're going to fail. And I keep relating to sports analogies. When a quarterback runs on the field or they call the play into the field, they have a strategy. They have a play, a formula. If we don't have that, if we're not prepared, we're going to lose. We must have confidence in ourselves. If we're not prepared, we're not going to have confidence. That is purely a given fact. And the most important thing is we have to stay in control of the call. Now, how do you stay in control of the call? Well, it's all based on the dialogue. So let's go in a different direction here. What happens when you lose control of the call? Well, you fail to do adequate discovery and find out what the customer's wants and needs are. You waste these great leads. Let me share something with you. If you get 5 opportunities that come into your dealership, let's call it a be-back, a referral, a walk-in, a phone call, an internet lead, let's go to a 6th one, and a service customer. Which customer has the highest closing ratio? Well, you're going to be shocked when I tell you it's the phone up. Why? Because people are at the end of their shopping process. They don't call first. They go online and shop first. The call is to determine where they're going to visit to hear about the vehicle they want to buy. And the other thing is this: if you're not in control and you're just winging it, you sound like every other salesperson. Every other salesperson out there saying the same things. When can you come to the dealership? Your best negotiating power is when you're in the dealership. You have to be able to create a dialogue that lowers that customer's defensive questions, lower that customer's defensive posture. You have to ask questions. Now, keep something in mind. If you're going to ask questions, there's 3 fundamental rules you must follow. And I share this with you all the time in our DLA rules of sale. The first one is never ask a question that could result in a lie from the customer. Don't give that customer an opportunity to lie to you. I always like this. When I go to a dealership, I say to all the salespeople, how many of you believe that buyers are liars? And everybody's hand goes up. And then I ask, how many of you believe that I could come and work in your dealership for the next 90 days, sell a ton of cars, and nobody will ever lie to me? Who thinks that's possible? And nobody does. And then I say, but it is. Think about it. How would I get a customer to not lie to me? Well, I'd never ask them a question that would give them that opportunity to lie. I know what people lie about, and so do you. You know, they lie about their budget. You know, they lie about their trade value. You know, they lie about their timeline. You know, they lie about where they shop, the prices they've got. Why would you ask these questions? The same goes on the phone. Don't ask a question that could give them an opportunity to lie, because they're defensive when they lie. And once they lie, they're going to defend that lie. Number two, never ask a question that can result in an answer you don't want to hear. Now, in about 6 or 8 minutes, I'm going to contradict that. You'll see why in a second. But never ask a question that can result in an answer you don't want to hear. Because here's the problem. If you ask that question and then you don't want to hear it, it sends anybody in a tailspin. So that's very important. And the final one is never ask a question or make a statement that could make the customer more defensive. I got to keep beating this up in your head. They're sizing you up. They're sizing you up. If they like you, they're more likely to come to your dealership. So how do you control the call? Well, you control the call by asking questions, and you control the call by making statements that will get people excited. That's a very, very important factor. So let's take a couple of scenarios, and I'm going to use 2 scenarios. Let's start first with the caller that calls up and just wants the best price. When a caller that wants the best price, what you have to do is you have to give them second thoughts about their decision. So if a caller comes up and we'll just say they're looking for a Honda Accord, and they found one on the internet on your website, and it's got a price of $28,210 or maybe a payment of $400 a month. And they call up and they say, I'd like to get your best price on this vehicle. What you have to do is you have to ask a lot of questions. Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Customer. This is the base model. Yes, that is $400 a month. If I happen to have a base model, but maybe it had a sunroof, would you consider investing another $2 or $3 per month? I know I would. And most people say, no, probably not. Okay, if I had a base model that maybe had an upgraded interior or had an upgraded sound system or had this or this, and it was a couple of dollars, would you consider increasing your budget just a few dollars? And most people, if you say, will say, well, I'd consider it. Sure, I'd consider it. You see, Mr. Customer, I'd hate to give you my best price on this vehicle. And then you come in and you buy the car. And then 2 weeks later, you find out that for $3 more, you could have had this. The price is going to be the price. Again, it's creating the dialogue of making people think about it. You want to drive them into the dealership. Now, what will drive them into the dealership? If, again, we remove the pressure. And then I would follow up and I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, please understand something. We view all initial visits to our dealership as informational gathering events. We realize that you are still in the shopping phase of your process. This is just one step of the process calling us. So what I'd like to do is have you come in, take a look at the cars we have, drive 1 or 2 of them if you find something you like. Let me give you pricing on all the cars that catch your eye, and then go home and think about it. Consider it. I want you to compare it with the other cars you're going to look at in your shopping process. So are you available this afternoon at 3 o'clock? Are you available tomorrow morning? Are you available Friday night? Whatever time you want to go for. People might ask you, so are you telling me you're not going to try to sell me a car tomorrow when I come in? I might respond and say, well, let me ask this. Do you need to buy a car tomorrow? And most people are going to say, no, I don't need to. Then fine. We'll look at tomorrow as an informational gathering event. We'll look at cars. We'll drive. We'll give you prices. And I hope to give you prices on 3 or 4 cars. Take it home and think about it. And I know a lot of you are saying to yourself, well, why would I do that? Why would I let them come in with an opportunity to leave? Because you have to remember, most people are not going to leave. Most people are going to forget what you said. If you win them over when they get there and you inspire them, they're not going to pick 3 or 4 cars. They're going to narrow down to 1. And in today's environment, you might only have 2 or 3 cars total, and they've got to pick 1 if they want something. So you've got to give them reasons to come to your dealership. And that brings up the next situation where I'm going to contradict myself. Everybody now knows that cars are expensive and their trades are worth a ton of money. They're all going to kbb.com and they're figuring all this stuff out. So a lot of people are calling the dealership and asking, what is my trade worth? First of all, you never want to say to somebody, well, bring it in. We need to take a look at it. Sure, somebody will do that, but most people say, no, 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 I don't want to drive all the way over there until I know what my car's worth. And then we get the ones who will say, well, what do you have? What's the VIN number? Let me get my used car manager. We go to the used car manager. Of course, he does not want to put a number, or she does not want to put a number on the car. And then we call them back, we give them the number, and they say, okay, thank you. Because we're never going to have the best number. And they're just calling other dealerships to do this. Now, I've told you in the past, don't ask people what they think their trade's worth when they're in the dealership, because you already have them captive. They're already there. But when they call you on the phone and they want to value their car over the phone, here's what I say. I say, wow, that's great. What do you have? And the customer tells me, I have a 2018 Honda Accord with 50,000 miles on it. Fantastic. Please tell me it's white. Yes, it's white. Or please tell me it's not white. No, it's blue. Fantastic. How's the condition? Are the tires in good condition? Yes. How's the interior? Good condition? Yes. Exterior, normal dings and dents for a 5-year-old car? Yes. Any check engine light? No. Have you been up to date on your maintenance? Yes. Wow, that sounds like a great car, and we would want to buy that from you. Now, obviously, you've done some shopping. You clearly have a figure in mind. Can I ask you what that number is? And most people now will give you a number, and it's going to be a high number. We know that. And this is where you're going to catch them off guard, and you're going to win that appointment. Because then I'm going to say, you know what? To me, that doesn't sound unreasonable or unrealistic. When can we see that car? Tomorrow. Fantastic. Bring the car in. We want to see it. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind, because I know a lot of you are going, Okay, number one, it wasn't my number. It was their number. Okay, number two, I didn't say we were going to give it to them. I said it sounded reasonable and didn't seem unrealistic to me. But number three, here's the big question. Will we give them that retail number for their car? And in most cases, we will, as long as they pay the retail price plus for our car. We'll trade retail for retail, wholesale for wholesale, whatever makes the customer comfortable. Right now, we're selling cars at retail and we're buying cars at retail. It doesn't matter. And if you're off a few $100s, people are going to understand. Now, is there a chance that you're going to be way off? Yep. But I will bet you a dollar that in most situations, the car they bring in does not match the description they gave you over the phone. Because again, most people have already gone to kvb.com. They see the number there. You're going to give them that number anyways. So in that situation, when they want to know what their trade is worth, ask them what their trade is worth. Ask them what they think their trade's worth. But you got to build up the value of the trade. You got to let them think that you really, really want this car. Okay. Let me see what else we got here. Okay. So I got to start wrapping up here soon, but I got a lot of questions that are coming in. Let me just see if I have any other notes here on my thing. No, I think I covered that. We covered that. We covered that. All right. Let me jump on some questions real quickly, and we'll do 4 or 5 minutes of questions here. Hold on a second. Questions open. Okay. Glenn, isn't asking the customer what they think for their trade risky? Won't they hold us to that number if they come in? Yeah, they might. They might. But I'm going to tell you what, in most cases, you're able to give them a reasonable explanation of what that number you're going to give them is. When a customer comes in with a high, ridiculous retail number, say, absolutely, we'll pay you $15,000 for your car. You got to pay $28,210 for our car. Well, that's the price on the window sticker, right? You want us to pay retail for your car? We got to sell you our car for retail. Abby wants to know, at what point during the phone call should we ask for their phone number? Good question, Abby. At the end. And I know this contradicts everything that we've been taught. I know it does. But you know what? If I build that relationship with that customer, at the very end, I say, great, I've got you confirmed for tomorrow at 5 o'clock. If you're going to be early or late, would you be kind enough to give me a call? Everybody says yes. Then I'd say, great. And obviously, if something happens on my end, I would obviously return the courtesy. And the best number to reach you at is, and most people will give you their number. Not all, but most. The other thing is this. I absolutely want to get an email address. Critical. But what is the one thing I'm going to do once I have that cell phone number? You all should know this. As soon as I hang up, I'm going to go out and make a video of the car they're coming in to see. I'm going to go out there and walk around that car and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's fun talking to you. Here's the car we're coming in to look at. I thought you might like to have a video of it. Just an option. Matt wants to know if the caller demands price before they agree to come in, and then I give them a price, what should I tell them if they have that number beat elsewhere? Matt, you're not going to like what I tell you. But I'm going to give you the real scoop here. I would say, that sounds great. I wish you the best with the car. I would absolutely take it away from them, because in most cases, we know they cannot get that price somewhere else. And if you start lowering your price, you're falling into their trap. Look at folks, we're definitely at an advantage now. We struggle getting inventory. We can hold our price. If somebody wants to play that game, let them play that game. Take it away. Great. That sounds wonderful. Obviously, we don't have that luxury. We offer so much here at our dealership. It's just not something we would do at this time. But I wish you the best. And a lot of people will backtrack. All right, someone coming in as unknown. When it comes to the trade, if my customer offers a figure that I know is way off track, should I still say it doesn't sound unreasonable? Yeah, I would. I mean, usually when these people come up with these ridiculous, stupid numbers, there's a reason why. It's because they owe that much on their trade. And usually they're overstating what the value of the trade is. All right, Brad wants to know, if I'm going to be selling cars over the phone in the digital process, should I then ask if they want to buy the car over the phone? Ooh, good question, Brad. Here's my philosophy on that. Anytime you give somebody a price, then you have to ask for the sale. Absolutely. And all I would just ask is, would you like to buy the car? You have to ask for the sale. And finally, William, will do one more here. How would you handle someone who offers you an unreasonable figure on new vehicle over the phone? Oh, I think I just handled that. But I got another thought in my mind here. If somebody offers me a ridiculous price over the phone, again, I would just say, thank you for calling. Unfortunately, that is nothing that we would be able to honor at this point in time. The takeaway always works. It catches people off guard. They're expecting you as a car salesperson to be aggressive. You've got to take it away from them and just say, thank you. Again, we're in the driver's seat. We don't have a lot of inventory. We're going to sell that car to somebody else. So I'm going to wrap up. I hope I've given you a few good pointers today. Try them out. Keep me posted. I know I see a few more emails popping in, questions popping in. I'll answer those later this afternoon via email. So everybody be safe, and I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.